Welcome. This is another episode of the Red Pill Ranger. I am your host, the Red Pill Ranger. Um, been wanting to do this video for a while, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it and get it over with. Get the discussion out. There's no need to attempt to wow anyone with a bunch of stats or statistics about anything. It's really not necessary. This conversation it'll speak for itself. Rape culture. I remember 2 years ago I had a conversation with a young lady. We were kind of dating, but that's not what I was doing. She was just a friend. And so we used to hang out, whatever, and do our thing and go to dinner, little shit like that from time to time. And of course, she paid for me. Every time, actually. I had no problem with it. So she seemed to have no problem with it. So I had no problem with it. Excuse me. So anyway, she has a lot of feminist undertones, but she's one of those who studied MGTOW. She actually asked me about MGTOW. She's the first woman to actually ever ask me about it. As far as me, like some woman that I was actually smashing. So she was the first to actually ask. She spoke a lot about the wage gap, and she spoke a lot about rape culture. Now, the wage gap thing has been debunked so many times that I find it hard to grasp why women still actually use it. To me, it just ultimately shows your lack of real study. It shows your lack of the ability to perform rudimentary study, meaning go to the beginning and base of something and start from there instead of counting to 5, starting with 3. And it's telling, in a lot of men's opinion, including mine, that I understand why it was taught and it was said biblically now and times before that. And I don't like saying biblically like the Bible made up those stories, but at the end of the day, you know what I mean? You know what I mean. That women should not be opening their mouths unless they were in the house asking questions. Basically, your ability to speak should be in question if you're running around touting things that just are blatantly not true. And all it would take is a small bit of investigation to realize that the things that you're saying aren't true. Let's start with defining words, which is my favorite part, and which was my favorite part of having a conversation with her. Rape. What is rape? Are we talking about forcefully taking a woman's vagina and using it for your sexual pleasure as a man? We're not even going to talk about the man on man rape, etc. We're not even going to do that. We're just going to talk about rape culture as they're saying it. They're talking about themselves. So, rape culture. Rape. What is rape as far as they're concerned? Men forcefully taking a woman's vagina and using it for his sexual pleasure against her will. All right? That's what you mean. So that word's defined. Culture. Where's my water? This is where you run into problems with me. You see, the word culture it's an actual word, and it has a definition to it. And the way that you're using that word attached to rape does not accurately define what's happening. Now, I'll give you something that is a cultural thing and cultural society thing in America. I'll give you something. Coffee. America is a coffee drinking culture. Nowhere can you go in America, no city, no gas station can you go in America and not find coffee. It's accepted and generally accepted by all of society. You can find coffee pots in nearly every home in America. It's a societal thing, cultural acceptance of something, the act of some act doing something, as in drinking coffee. Okay? Now remember, rape has its own definition and culture has its own definition. Things that are done in a society that are accepted and seen and or deemed acceptable by the majority of the people in that society. Okay? Culture. Sports. America is most definitely a sports culture. I don't care which sport you pick. It's a sports culture. Baseball, football, college, high school. Depending on what state you are, it's really big. Certain high school football is humongous. Certain states, high school basketball is humongous. These things are cultural. They're accepted throughout society, generally by all of society. You can go into most homes and find a sports cup, hat, banner, shirt, t-shirt, jersey, socks, something. It's cultural. Sports is cultural. Where in society is forcefully taking a woman's vagina for your sexual pleasure as a man acceptable? Again, coffee is talked about at lunch, excuse me, break rooms amongst employees and friends and coworkers, as well as sports, because it's a part of our culture. It's accepted in our culture. It's something that we do and that we participate in. It's acceptable in our culture, like music, etc. Where do we sit around at the work break room station talking about forcefully taking a woman's vagina for our personal sexual pleasure? There was a video done about the guys who were falsely accused of the thing in New York about raping some woman, and it wasn't them, the black guys, and they got out. I forgot their names. They did a video and an interview, and they were talking about how when they went to prison for the rape, the false rape, how unacceptable rape was amongst the prisoners. Now, mind you, we are talking about the most dangerous and vicious of society. And amongst the most dangerous and vicious men in society, forcefully taking a woman's vagina for your sexual pleasure against her will was unacceptable. This has been the Red Pill Ranger. Calling men, because when you say rape culture, you're talking to men. Calling men rapists or rape apologists, or we agree with it and we have no problem with it, and saying this loudly and calling men out on this as though this is something that we do and we accept. That is despicable. This has been the Red Pill Ranger. Please like, share, subscribe. and comment as well.